made Maryland the first state in the country that now bans price gouging and price manipulation. So when you go into a supermarket, they can't use your data against you when you go to the checkout counter.
So you'd rather do that than what they're doing in New York, which is city-run. I mean, that's what Mayor, I see you laugh.
Yeah, no.
And I say good, laugh, because that's ridiculous. But that's what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, that's, and of course, you know, we find out now that the supermarkets that are around the areas where the city plans to put their supermarket are very pissed off because they're like, well, of course, how are we going to compete? But, you know, Mayor Mamdani, that's extreme socialism.
Bill Maher just called it on his own show with the Democratic governor of Maryland sitting right next to him, and the whole panel laughed. A lot of people don't necessarily agree with Bill Maher all the time, but listen, when he's right, and tonight, he's right. While everyone out here in New York City celebrating Zohran Mamdani like he's the next coming of FDR, Bill Maher did something that the mainstream media wouldn't. He called the socialist policy exactly what it is. Before we even get to the grocery store, I need you to hear what Bill Maher said in his New Rules monologue, because if this isn't a left versus right thing, this is just a math thing for him.
Paid to the government, if you add in state tax, local sales, property, fees, Obamacare, probably almost 60% of what I earn. That's a lot. And I still wouldn't mind if Bernie Sanders would stop saying the rich don't pay taxes. And while I'm sure the super rich with their army of accountants and corporate loopholes get away with murder, us regular rich people pay a shit ton of taxes. And who stands up and gives us a pat on the back? Nobody, that's who.
60%. And then he said this.
The top 10% pay 72% of all federal income taxes, and the bottom half, 3%. The Democratic Socialists talk about socialism like we don't already have a lot. Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, nutritional assistance, Medicaid, Obamacare, disability, housing subsidies. Again, not against it, just the same question. How can you be soaking the rich and failing the poor so badly?
That is the question. The government is not underfunded. It is not undersourced. It is, in Bill's words, incompetent and corrupt.
How can it be that the federal government alone took in over $5 trillion in taxes last year, and we still need that? Are we really this incompetent and corrupt?
We don't have an issue with money generating. We have a spending problem. We don't have an income problem. Money comes in all the time. We're taxed to death, especially here in New York City. So where's the money going? And there's receipts on that. Remote Area Medical, a nonprofit originally built to send medical teams into developing countries, now set up tents in the United States because people cannot afford to see a doctor.
So badly that on 60 Minutes last week, they were redoing the story they did 18 years ago about Remote Area Medical. That is the program modeled after medical teams that drop into the poorest countries in the world for a few days to set up a tent where people with no access to health care can get some. And now we're one of those countries.
$5 trillion in taxes, but we have tent clinics. That's the government's track record. And Mamdani wants to hand the same government the keys to the grocery stores.
Somehow the ultra-rich keep getting ultra-richer, while a growing percentage is feeling truly desperate. The richest 1/10 now does half of all the spending. Somehow we created an economy where the number of households worth $20 million or more is 644,000.
Now here's where Bill's monologue gets really sharp. It starts to connect directly to what Mamdani is trying to build. That's the real economy Mamdani is operating in. And his solution, hand the taxpayers' money to the private operator running the government-backed store that competes against the same neighborhood businesses already serving those same people. It's not fighting the system. It is the system. Because that's who Zohran Mamdani really is. His father is an academic professor. His mother is a filmmaker. Never ran a business, never met a payroll. And this man who built an entire campaign on taxing billionaires while his super PAC received money from Elizabeth Simons, a family that owns about $32 billion. Also, the owner of GitHub, he gave him $20,000. He sold his company to Microsoft for $7.5 billion. Real estate professionals tied to the same development firms blamed for New York's affordability crisis appear in his campaign filings. He accepted contributions from executives in the same industries his platform condemns. Here's what Bill's reacting to. A few nights ago, ago, Mamdani threw himself a big 100-day party, had Bernie Sanders coming in, big crowds, signs everywhere, and the headline, New York City is building its first government store. The historic site under the Metro-North tracks on Park Avenue in East Harlem. Mamdani is comparing himself to LaGuardia by saying, New York City, it is time for a grand experiment once again. A grand experiment with your tax dollars during a $5.4 billion budget deficit.
These standards include requirements that at our stores, bread will be cheaper. Eggs will be cheaper. Grocery shopping will no longer be an unsolvable equation. And workers will be treated with dignity.
Grocery shopping will no longer be an unsolvable equation. That sounds great, but you see from Bill Maher, he already told you what happens when government promises to fix the economy.
You're not going to get health care to these people by threatening to tax and eat the rich. You raise billionaires' taxes, they just leave the state. Or they leave the country. Or in some cases, the planet.
Same energy with a different product. Government says they're going to fix your problem. Government takes your money, then government delivers a tent clinic. Or in this case, a grocery store that nobody asks for in a neighborhood that already has 15 of them. Even the whole justification for spending $30 million of our tax money on this location.
65,000 New Yorkers live within a 10-minute walk of La Marqueta. 5,000 NYCHA residents live on either side of Park Avenue. And nearly 40% of East Harlem residents receive public assistance or SNAP benefits in the last year.
Okay, those are real numbers, but a food desert doesn't mean you can't access a grocery store. That's why the New York Post pulled the actual data showing that there was 15 damn stores all over the place. Actually, New York City was ranked #1 U.S. metro area in terms of the residents' access to local supermarkets. You can walk almost anywhere in New York City in 10 minutes and find a grocery store. I can walk 10 minutes and find a grocery store. So this is not a food desert. This is one of the most grocery dense neighborhoods in the country. And the mayor just dropped this taxpayer subsidized competitor, zero rent, zero property taxes, right in the middle of 15 small businesses that pay for all of it.
Money can't buy happiness, but it sure can buy healthiness. Half the country can buy access to concierge doctors, specialists, new treatments, personal trainers, nutritionists, private chefs, and whatever Gwyneth Paltrow is putting in her vagina. And the other half has the place I was just talking about, remote area medical, the pop-up healthcare clinic that rolls into town once a year like a county fair.
You know what kills local grocery stores? Not the free market, government picking winners with your money. That's why the president of the National Supermarket Association called it a slap in the face to the 450 independent stores his group represents. Stores that have been there for 15 to 20 years, paying their taxes and serving these communities.
Are we really this incompetent and corrupt?
I mean, let's do the math that Mamdani didn't do at the press conference. So the original budget campaign with all 5 stores was $60 million. The budget before the construction started was $70 million. Cost of one store alone, $30 million. The remaining 4 stores across the 4 boroughs, $40 million. Per store average remaining $10 million. The industry standard cost for a grocery store is under $10 million. City's cost per square foot versus the market rate, 3 times the market rate. And that's $70 million. It doesn't include the feasibility study, ongoing operations, employee salaries, inventory, utilities, maintenance. The $70 million alone is for construction only. And all this is happening while New York is staring down a $5.4 billion deficit. If the city builds it, owns it, covers the rent, covers the taxes, covers construction, who runs it? A private operator, not named yet, selected through a FRP process we haven't seen, walking into a rent-free, tax-free storefront the taxpayers paid $30 million to build. The city said it will hire a private operator, possibly an existing supermarket chain. So Mamdani campaigns against corporations and then hands a corporation one of the best real estate deals in New York City's history, subsidized by the people he said he was fighting for. And it is by no means clear that a paying union wages or offering lower prices are both possible without additional subsidies, meaning that $70 million is just the opening bid. That's not socialism for the people. That's socialism for the connected. The RFP, the request for proposals, is a document that we need to watch because whoever wins that contract is getting one of the best deals in the history of New York City real estate, courtesy of us, the taxpayers.
How can you be soaking the rich and failing the poor so badly?
And here's the answer. Because the money never actually reaches the people it's supposed to help. It never does. It gets absorbed by the construction cost 3 times the market rate. It goes to the unnamed private operators getting the sweetheart deals. It goes to the press conference with Bernie Sanders walking out to AC/DC walk-ons and 100-day parties. And in 2029, if everything goes to plan in New York City, you might get a 9,000 square foot store in a neighborhood that already has 15 grocery stores.
But, you know, Mayor Mamdani, that's extreme socialism. Some would say communism.
He called it in one sentence. We just showed you why he's right. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.